Hi, my name is Kendall Jackson, and this is published on September 24th, 2021. And the link provided is to the article that I used to find the information on my current event of the EF4 tornado that happened in Newnan, Georgia on March 26, 2021. And this has a personal place in my heart because I am born and raised in Newnan, and I went to Newnan High School, and my house was also hit by the tornado and has been affected by it. So let's get started. So some details of the tornado that struck through Newnan, Georgia was that it happened shortly after midnight on Friday morning in Newnan, and it was a major tornado and was reported as an EF4, which is not the largest but very close to the largest tornado, so it means there was a whole lot of damage. So there's much damage as a result of the violent tornado that came through because it was an EF4. And Newnan High School and the nearby homes and streets, they got some of the heaviest damage from it because that's where it came through and hit really hard. And some phone lines and power remained down for many days after, while all the service teams try to get around to help everybody, because there was approximately 1,200 people without power, and they all had to get around to try and help people. So people were without power and for many of days, including my family at my house, because we're close to Newnan High School, but there was a bunch of trees down in our way there, so they had to get all those out before they could even come try to fix it. But also, the Coweta County school system closed all the schools that Friday, and they said that they would have to assess all the damage that happened to see when they could all go back to school. And the Newnan High School, they ended up being virtual for the rest of the year because of how much damage happened there. And once all the teams got out the next morning when it turned daylight, they determined that West Coweta was hit the hardest out of everybody. And some more details about it were that the community was very resilient. And you could tell because all the family and friends all came out and helped and volunteered to help the families that were affected by the tornado. And some of the people who were even affected would come out with chainsaws and would come out and help pick up trees and limbs and all that stuff. Because, I mean, they couldn't do anything with their house at the moment, so they decided they wanted to come and help other people clean up that could at the time. And the mayor, Keith Brady, said that the cleanup from the tornado could take months and that Newnan would never look the same as it did the night before everybody went to sleep and the tornado hit. And he is very right. It does not look the same as it did before, and it will not ever look the same and will take a long time to even get close to it, back to normal. So some content areas that can be taught and that I could use in my classroom that obtains to this is a science standard, the S4E4, which says obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to predict weather events and infer weather patterns using weather charts and maps and collected weather data. A, construct an explanation of how weather instruments, thermometer, rain gauge, barometer, wind vane, and anemometer are used in gathering weather data and making forecasts. B, interpret data from weather maps including fronts, warm, cold, and stationary, temperature, pressure, and precipitation to make an informed prediction about tomorrow's weather. C, ask questions and use observations of cloud types, cirrus, stratus, and cumulus, and data of weather conditions to predict weather events. And D, construct an explanation based on research to communicate the difference between weather and climate. So I would have my students use the website provided here, which is a tornado simulation, and you can adjust the diameter of it and the speed of it. And I would have them have a chart with the different levels of the hurricanes. And my students would have to use the simulation to figure out what made the tornado the level it was on. So why it was an EF2 tornado or an EF4 tornado or why it was an EF1. And as they've been playing around with the simulator and recorded their answers, I would then ask them to record what damage was done each time they changed the simulation and why they think that happened based on the observations they've made by playing with the simulator and watching what it does on the screen. Two more content areas that I could use and teach in my classroom would be for visual art, the VA4.CN2 standard, and it says integrate information from other disciplines to enhance the understanding and production of works of art. B. Apply art skills and knowledge to improve understanding in other disciplines. And C. Describe and discuss various art-related careers and how to design impacts daily life. For example, art historian, art critic, curator, web designer, game designer, and fine artist. So I would have my students find pictures from the aftermath of tornadoes that have happened throughout the history in the past and paste them on a document on their computer together based on similarities and differences that they see in the pictures. And the students must find at least 5 pictures to use to do this activity with. And for language, I would use the standard ELA GSE4 W3, and that says write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, descriptive details, and clear event sequences. A. Orient the reader by establishing a situation and introducing a narrator and/or characters. Organize an event sequence that unfolds naturally. B. Use dialogue and description to develop experiences and events or show the responses of characters to situations. C. Use a variety of transitional words and phrases to manage the sequence of events. D. Use concrete words and phrases and sensory details to convey experiences and events precisely. And E. Provide a conclusion that follows from the narrated experiences or events. So I would have my students write their own narrative about how they would feel if they were in the tornado that night when it came through Newnan. And I would have my students read articles about the event online to inspire them and to watch some of the videos to go along with it. And after the students have read and watched the videos of the tornado, I will then tell them to go tell a story in first person point of view and to be very descriptive of their feelings that they have throughout it. And after they have written their narrative, we'll make an illustration to go along with them. So this lets the kids practice their writing skills, but also helps them be able to put themselves in another person's point of view. So some additional links that you could look at would be these 4 because they give us a deeper insight to how much damage occurred because of the tornado that ripped through the small town of Newnan. It just shows you pictures and gives you more information about it. And like I said, I thought I would provide you with some photos of the damage that the tornado has done, my firsthand experience of it. And this is actually my driveway and my backyard of my house. They don't look like this anymore because we've got it cleaned up a little bit more, but it still looks like a tornado ripped through there. So it's going to take a long time to get our place back the way it was and the rest of Newnan that got affected as well. So thank you so much for joining me with my current event project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.